What if I told you that right now, in this very moment, you're lying to yourself? Not about something small, not about whether you remember to lock the door or turn off the stove, about something fundamental, something that shapes how you see yourself, how you move through the world, how you love and hate and hope. You'd probably deny it. That's the first lie. You wake up each morning and construct a version of yourself, layer by layer, story by story. You tell yourself you're fine when you're drowning. You call your fear being practical. You rename your jealousy setting boundaries. These aren't conscious choices. They happen below the waterline of awareness, in the dark spaces where your mind does its most creative work. You are not one person. You are a committee. And most of the committee members have never been introduced to each other. There's the you that makes plans and keeps calendars. The you that remembers birthdays and pays bills. This is the you that thinks it's in charge, that believes it sees clearly, that prides itself on being rational and aware. But beneath this well-lit surface, an underground river flows, carrying all the thoughts too dangerous for daylight. All the feelings too big for your carefully constructed life. All the truths too sharp for your tender psyche to hold. Over a century ago, a doctor in Vienna began mapping this underground river. He discovered that your mind doesn't just think, it protects. It doesn't just remember, it edits. It doesn't just perceive, it transforms. Your psyche is an artist, and its masterpiece is the story of who you are. How it works. Sarah practices saying, "I'm fine," in her bathroom mirror each morning. 3 months since the divorce. 3 months of this daily rehearsal. Her friends ask how she's holding up, and the words flow out automatically. "I'm fine." Really, it's for the best. Standing there, she believes it completely. The relief in her chest feels real. The weight lifting from her shoulders, that's genuine too. But somewhere deeper, in a place she won't visit, another truth lives and breathes and waits. She's not fine. She's drowning. But the mind says, if we don't acknowledge the drowning, there's no water. Your mind performs magic tricks. It takes feelings that would destroy you and relocates them, displaces them, transforms them into something bearable. You can't scream at your teenager who came home drunk, so you explode at your coworker over a sloppy presentation. The anger is real. You don't manufacture that. You just redirect it. The mind finds a safer target. You can't fix your crumbling marriage, can't cure your mother's illness, can't solve the financial pressure crushing your chest. But you can rebuild an engine. You can spend every weekend in the garage, hands deep in grease and possibility, transforming anxiety into art. This is sublimation, the alchemical process of turning lead into gold. You scroll through social media, muttering judgments. She's so desperate for attention. He's obviously overcompensating. Must be nice to have that much free time. What you don't see, what your mind carefully keeps from you, is that every criticism is a mirror turned inward. You point at others to avoid looking at yourself. This is projection. The world becomes a screen for your secret anxieties. And when the doctor calls about those test results, your mind simply slides past it, like trying to hold soap with wet hands. This is denial in its purest form, not dramatic movie denial, but something quieter, more sophisticated. You know and don't know simultaneously. Here's what you don't want to hear. You need these lies. Not sometimes. Always. Imagine waking up tomorrow fully conscious of your own mortality, really feeling it, not just knowing it intellectually. Imagine moving through your day, acutely aware of how little control you actually have, how fragile everything is, how arbitrary suffering can be. You'd probably never leave the house. The unfiltered reality of existence would crush you. So your mind performs a daily miracle of mercy. It filters reality through gauze so you can bear to look at it. You tell yourself your children are exceptional because you have to be. You convince yourself your work matters, that your relationships will last, that tomorrow will be better than today. These aren't failures of rationality. They're triumphs of survival. You even lie about your past. Edit your memories like a filmmaker in post-production. The fight becomes about their jealousy, not your betrayal. The job you lost becomes about politics, not performance. The friend who stopped calling becomes busy, not done with you. Your mind is not trying to deceive you. It's trying to save you. But every lie has a shadow. Every protection comes with a cost. Every story you tell yourself creates a small distance between who you are and who you think you are. And over time, these small distances become vast expanses. You tell yourself you're not creative because it's easier than risking failure. The lie keeps you safe from disappointment. It also keeps you safe from joy. You tell yourself you don't need anyone because independence feels like strength. The protection becomes the prison. The walls you build to keep pain out also keep love from finding its way in. Watch what happens. The very mechanisms meant to protect you begin to attack you. The defenses become the disease. You become who you pretend to be, for better and worse. There's an old saying, the map is not the territory. But what if the map is all you have? What if the territory, raw, unfiltered reality, is too vast, too chaotic, too terrifying to navigate without your carefully drawn guides? You don't see the world as it is. You see it as you are. Every perception filtered through your needs, your fears, your desperate hope that you matter. Your mind translates the foreign language of existence into something you can understand. But here's the paradox. To heal, you must first see how you deceive yourself. To become whole, you must examine your brokenness. To find truth, you must confront your lies. It's painful work, this archaeology of the self, digging through layers of protection to find a scared child underneath. Recognizing that your greatest strengths might be built on your deepest wounds. But in those moments when the veil lifts, when you catch yourself in the act of self-deception, something beautiful happens. Not the destruction you feared, a strange kind of relief. The exhaustion of maintaining the lie lifts, even if just for a moment. Maybe the question isn't whether you can live without illusions. Maybe it's whether you can learn to dance with them more gracefully. What if you could choose your lies more carefully? Notice when a protective story has outlived its usefulness. Ask not, is this true? But does this story serve who I'm becoming or who I'm afraid to leave behind? Children believe in monsters under the bed. They also believe in heroes who can defeat them. Maybe your adult lies aren't so different. Maybe you tell yourself you're stronger than you are because sometimes, in the telling, you become it. The athlete who visualizes victory isn't deluding herself. She's rehearsing possibility. The artist who believes this next piece will change everything isn't naive. He's accessing the necessary madness of creation. When you fall in love, you don't see the person as they are. You see them as they could be, as they are in their best moments, through the filter of hope. And sometimes being seen that way helps people become it. Tonight, when you look in the mirror, you might catch a glimpse of someone you recognize but rarely meet. Not the carefully constructed self you present to the world. Not the harsh critic in your head. The actual person standing there. Complex, contradictory, beautifully human. You might notice how much energy it takes to maintain your stories. How exhausting it is to be constantly on guard against your own truth. How the very mechanisms that protect you also isolate you. And you might wonder, what would happen if you let down the guard just a little? What if you told someone about the dream you've been hiding? The fear that wakes you at 3 a.m.? The love you've never admitted? The Viennese doctor believed that insight was curative, not because knowledge solves everything, because consciousness gives you choice. When you understand how you deceive yourself, you can start to choose which deceptions serve you and which enslave you. You can keep the stories that help you grow. Gently release the ones that keep you small. But even knowing all this, even seeing the machinery clearly, you'll still need your lies. Because the alternative, living in unfiltered reality, might break you. So you're left with a question that has no clean answer. In a universe that seems indifferent to your suffering, is the capacity for self-deception a weakness to overcome or a strength to celebrate? Maybe the answer is both. Maybe you're meant to live in the tension between truth and illusion, between seeing clearly and protecting yourself from what you see. Maybe wisdom isn't about eliminating your defenses, but about wielding them consciously. Perhaps the deepest truth is this: you are a creature who needs meaning more than accuracy, hope more than facts, connection more than certainty. And if that requires a little self-deception along the way, well, maybe that's not a failing. Maybe that's poetry. The lies you tell yourself aren't just stories you create. They're stories that create you. The question isn't whether you can live without them. The question is, which lies will you choose? And maybe, in the choosing, you find something that's not quite truth and not quite fiction, but something more valuable than either. The possibility of becoming who you never dared to believe you could be. What lies are you telling yourself today? And which ones are telling